Yo, hey guys, what is up? It's JJ Tech here, back again for another tech video. Basically another long-awaited tech video because as you know, in my previous video, I just talked about some channel updates in the future of the channel. Probably not really interesting for some of you out there, but hey, you know what? I'm back to tech. So today, like I had mentioned in my previous video, today we're going to be doing basically, should you pick up this iPad Air 1st Gen? Don't get it confused with the first one. 1st Gen. And today I'm going to be doing basically, should you pick up the iPad Air 1st generation? Don't get that mixed up with the 3rd generation new iPad Air that came out. This is the 1st Gen. Basically, should you pick this up in 2019? Is it still going to be worth your money? Now before I start today's video, let me just, I don't know if you guys noticed, yeah, I kind of got some new decor here for the setup here. Now I've had this piece for a while now. I just didn't put it here on my setup, and I thought I'd put it here so I can add a bit of decor and a bit of flavor to the actual setup, make it a bit more, you know, make it a bit more interesting. And something else, yeah, you guys can see it, a new camera angle. As you can see, I've got 2 camera angles now, basically, so you guys can see the products up closer, kind of like what you're seeing now, the iPad, much detail, much closer detail. Basically, when I talk about the design, you guys are going to be able to see it much better. So yeah, with no further ado, let's get into the video. Now I'm going to start off with the specs, get the boring stuff out of the way, and I'm going to start off with the CPU. This has an A7 processor coming directly from Apple. As you know, Apple makes their own processors, and we've got only 1 GB of RAM on this iPad, which sure doesn't sound impressive in 2019, but hey, back then this was considered top of the line. Now let's talk about the display resolution. This has, I don't know the exact resolution for this iPad, but I know that it is over 1080p. As you can see here, it is over 1080p, and it looks really clean. As you can see here, it's really clean, over 1080p easily, and even in 2019 it is still really sharp here. Now on to the cameras. The rear facing camera is a 5 megapixel camera. It's okay quality, and then the one in the front is basically a 1.2 megapixel camera. So pretty bad quality. Surprisingly, the back one isn't as bad, but the front one is pretty terrible, at least for 2019 standards. So yeah, if you're trying to buy this iPad for pictures, yeah, stay away from it. Get the new one. Now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, let's talk a bit about design and how it's held up over the 6 years that I've owned it. Yes, I've owned this, well, my family has owned it for 6 years, and as you can see here, it's still held up really well. As you can see, some little micro scratches here and there, but other than that, the bottom, as you can see, pretty much held up well over time. And yes, we do have stereo speakers at the bottom. No, and yes, we do have a headphone jack. Just in case you guys were wondering, back then the headphone jack was present in pretty much every device. As you can see, the side here is also, the screen was kind of popping out of place. I'll explain that in a little bit. As you can see, we got the volume rockers still intact, and the power button is on the top, even like the newer iPads in 2019. Now moving over to the front of the display, as you can see here, this is a screen protector, so all these scratches that you see here from the glare are all from the screen protector. But we pretty much had a screen protector on this device pretty much day one since we bought it. But yeah, they're all scratches from the screen protector. And as you can see, we still have that old school style home button here, the one that Apple used to use back in the day. You can see, obviously they've switched to Touch ID and Face ID in their newest iPads. So yeah, it's pretty much held up really well over the 6 years that we've owned it. We've taken care of this thing really well. Now that I turn on the front of the display so you guys can get a closer look of how that looks, as you can see here, it is still really sharp and really smooth. Even when you do this, you know, when you're swiping left to right on the home screen, it's still really smooth. And that's something I've always enjoyed about Apple's devices in general, is that even over time, unlike Android, like I said, this has an A7 processor in it, which is a 6-year-old processor, and it still runs like it just came out of the box new. I'm not even kidding, guys. As you can see, absolutely smooth, no lags. Now when you do start to get on heavy intensive games, that's where you start to see the aging of the CPU on this tablet. Is, yeah, the games just don't run as well as they used to. As you can see, I've got Brawl Stars here, and that's not a very demanding game, but even in 2019 it has some little hiccups here and there. Just something you got to consider with a 6-year-old iPad. So yeah, the iPad has basically held up pretty well over the time that I've had it, and that's pretty much all I wanted to mention in today's video. Should you still pick it up? And the answer is no, you really shouldn't pick this iPad up in 2019. It's just not worth it anymore. What's the point of getting this when you can get a $360 mid-budget iPad 2019 with an A10 processor, much better processor than this, and you're getting just updated specs. It really isn't worth the money getting this thing in 2019 unless you're on an extremely low budget. But other than that, I pretty much wouldn't recommend this thing just because it's 6 years old. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I would pretty much not recommend it only because of the age. So yeah guys, that pretty much wraps up today's video. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at JJTech123, and also subscribe down below, like the video. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.